power,
you mentioned it.
On power, you have left us in such a terrible situation that today we have in the country a peak power shortage of 9 to 10%. Do you know how big that is? This is the situation that you have left the country in, Mr. Surjewala. Is this not relevant? Are these statistics not relevant?
Mr. Goswami, this country only produced 558,000 million units. When we demitted power after 10 years, the country produces over 60 million units. 1,22,000 megawatts. The capacity generation during UPA increased to 2,25,000 megawatts.
No, but you're producing for India or Czechoslovakia.
Was only added in last 2 years.
But the power you're producing for India, not Czechoslovakia.
But to undo the progress made by Government of India, as also this nation collectively, perhaps is unjust and unfair to the nation. 38,000 megawatts nearly is the power that is generated through nuclear energy alone. Power is being generated through wind energy, through geothermal sources, through many other non-conventional energy sources. I think power sector saw one of the biggest thrusts during UPA.
So let me come to
and the very figure of 1,22,000 to 2,25,000 in 10 years, doubling of the capacity itself establishes that UPA did what was requisite. We walked the talk. And we ensured that both government players
you walked the talk, which is why you walked the talk, which is why as of 2012 most of the coal blocks had not even started production. I won't tell you which Congress leaders were pushing which coal block. My question is, let's go to point number 4, since tonight you refuse to accept that you're culpable on any level. My next question is the issue of transparency in government and what Pavan Verma says is a delightful thing Modi is doing of e-auctions. My question on this is once again to the Congress party, and then briefly you respond, we'll go to everyone. Mr. Beg and Mr. Surjewala, the ball is now in your court. E-auctions in government. This has become a pressing read because this is exactly the lack of transparency during your government's tenure with regard to the coal and 2G allocations, that there was a loss to the national exchequer, all the scams happened. You had an opaque, non-transparent, allegedly corrupt manner of functioning, which is why today Modi is talking about e-auctions. At least on this, would you accept, Mr. Beg, and first to Mr. Beg and then to Mr. Surjewala, that this is something that he's having to do for what you did in the past? Mr. Beg?
Arnab, transparency is a must thing. There is no doubt about it. There can be no two opinions on this. And again, I would say the same thing. It's good. He has talked about it. Mr. Modi and his team, they are talking about it. It's very good and country needs it. We want to be very, very transparent of whatever the government is doing.
Yeah, because your 122 licenses which were cancelled,
we will have to see
the 122 licenses which were cancelled and which were allocated by A. Raja, which the Supreme Court, as Randeep Surjewala will remember, were called wholly arbitrary, capricious and contrary to public interest kind of functioning. Had you done this, Mr. Surjewala, when Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister, this situation would not have come.
Mr. Goswami, I want to point out.
Yes.
Mr. Goswami, I only want to point out to you that the process of auction through amendment to Mines and Minerals Act was introduced for the first time after 15 years by UPA government under Dr. Manmohan Singh.
Yeah.
We have gone through many debates on coal auction, and you know it more than anybody else.
Not revealing the complete truth.
1993, the coal auction policy that was prevalent, where nearly 200 coal blocks were also allocated by the then BJP government.
No, 1 minute, Mr. Surjewala, you are partially. Mr. Surjewala, the beauty of that argument.
Amending the Mines and Minerals Act.
The beauty of that argument of yours.
Just one more line.
1 minute, I must counter you right there. Mr. Surjewala, I must counter you right here. Because the beauty of your argument.
I want to add, and then you can say.
No, I'll just add one thing. The beauty of your argument.
Okay.
The beauty of that argument is that it is slightly correct. Slightly correct, but largely wrong. I'll tell you why. The MMDR Amendment Act 2010, which you are talking about, by the way, which was passed by both houses of parliament, in August 2010, you should also say that till date, not a single coal block has been given through auction. You forgot to say that. I'm just putting that for your notice.
I shall
Thank you.
answer
That's all. That's all. I wanted you to concede that. Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh is coming in.
I just want to make a comment, Arnab.
I shall
Siddharth
answer
Nath Singh is
that
coming
from
in.
2005 till
Siddharth Nath Singh.
2010,
We also
11.
must remember that coal block allocation
and they took how
is a
many
matter
years
of
for that
now
act to
examination by
be
CBI
notified?
under a court-monitored investigation, and the policy of auction that was brought in. Who opposed that policy? We must also know on your channel today. The then Chief Minister of Rajasthan and current Chief Minister, Ms. Vasundhara Raje Scindia, opposed it. The BJD government opposed it. The BJP government
Mr.
in Jharkhand
Mr. Surjewala,
the Calcutta government
Mr.
opposed
Surjewala,
it.
at
It
least
took
have the guts to now speak the truth.
Chhattisgarh government of Mr.
Now
Raman
speak the
Singh
truth.
opposed it. And all these objections and letters,
No, it
Mr.
wasn't.
Goswami, are in writing. And if you want, I can place them on your channel so that you can show it. Who was opposing transparency in auction? It was unfortunately the BJP government. The law required those state governments to be taken on board.
By the way, I'll say this.
Finally prevailed.
Mr. Surjewala, now the beauty of that argument, the beauty of this argument. One second. Mr. Surjewala, your second argument is also, the beauty of your second argument is that you're partially right, but also partially wrong. I'll tell you where you're partially right vis-a-vis the BJP. The BJP has no right to talk about transparency. What transparency, Mr. Siddharth Nath Singh? You take the example of Gujarat. I won't forget that assembly proceedings were not allowed to be covered by private television channels. I know what happened on the 4th of March 2013. When you banned the entry of video cameras or private TV channels inside the assembly building. Why did you do that? And with that as your background, therefore, there will be a certain amount of skepticism.
Well, it's nothing.
No. This is your record. I hope it changes.
When we are talking about the transparency, we are talking about the transparency in the functioning and the tendering process. It is on the corruption basis. On the corruption
Mr. Beg was smiling there.
And so let's not.
No. This is also transparency, Mr. Singh.
No.
This is also transparency.
Let me bring it. Let me bring few things to the Congress.
Pavan Verma is countering you. No one said Pavan Verma. Pavan Verma countering you. Siddharth, listen to Pavan. Pavan is countering you.
When you approved it, it did not get notified till almost
Pavan Verma on transparency.
They were waiting.
Pavan Verma on transparency.
Congress
government's performance on transparency was suboptimal, and the biggest source of mega corruption scams is the disposal by the state of resources that it owns below the ground, on the ground and in the air. Now, if Mr. Modi is planning to genuinely bring in e-auctions and transparency in this process and putting it into the sunlight, I think it's a good thing, but I have a suggestion. Please add government procurement also to this. The largest chunk of the government budget goes in procurement, and it is done opaquely. So please put that in the sunlight also under e-auction procedures.
The point is taken. I move to point number 9. Point number 9.
Add that the public procurement bill.
Arnab, I need to make a point. Arnab, I've been trying to make a point for a long time.
It was the bouquet of the entire corruption bill. It's still pending in Parliament. I say on behalf of my government that the bill that we introduced will be fully supported as and when Bharatiya Janata Party brings it and ensures that that bill comes into play, so that once for all public procurement across states in the entire country becomes a part of public procurement and tendering.
Siddharth,
and I also want to point out that 7 different Congress-ruled states have already implemented e-procurement system, irrespective of
you are all wiser in hindsight
by
now.
Parliament.
Mr. you are wiser in hindsight. My next question. Siddharth, just wait. Siddharth, just wait for a minute. I want to join Mehboob Beg once. Mehboob Beg is being a silent observer here tonight. I hope it is not because Mr. Mehboob Beg is...
I just want to make a quick point, Arnab.
No, 1 second. For 1 minute, Siddharth. You had more say than Mehboob Beg. Mehboob Beg tonight is doing a very interesting strategy. Mehboob Beg is keeping his political options open because he doesn't know tomorrow whether he has to go with the BJP or with the Congress. So he has gone with a very interesting strategy of keeping his options open. Let me try and draw him in. On point number 9, Mehboob Beg, the government says implement policy in a time-bound manner. Now, if you saw the communique regarding allocation of portfolios, it was indicated that Narendra Modi himself will be in charge of, and I quote, all important policy issues, right? Which means all important policy issues overriding any cabinet minister will be decided by the Prime Minister of India. That's a lot of centralization of authority. My question to you is, would you say to Siddharth Nath Singh tonight, Mr. Mehboob Beg, that this centralization of authority with regard to policy decisions, that this will prevent what happened during the UPA, that this is a sure shot formula, this is the Gujarat model, this is what will change this country, because Narendra Modi will step in and take all decisions if required to move the government in a fast manner. Does this centralization or over-centralization really help, Mehboob Beg? My question is to you.
Yeah, number one, please give me a second to respond. There is no question of going with BJP. So that should be ruled out. There is nothing like that, number one. Number two, then question number 2 you asked was regarding centralization. Centralization of things it runs against the spirit of democracy. The more decentralized the things become, the more good it is for the country, and it is in the interests of the country. That's what I would like to say on this.
Right, so centralization is bad. You're making it out to be a unique...
Centralization is definitely
over-centralization. Yes, Pavan Verma, before Siddharth Singh. No, Pavan Verma.
No, very quick remark, Arnab. In fact, what Mr. Modi has said in the communique is the prerogative of the Prime Minister in a cabinet system. I'm afraid it got diluted in the UPA government. But it should normally be the overriding priority as primus inter pares in any government.
But what did Manmohan Singh do all this while?
Well,
why are we in a situation where this... What did Manmohan Singh do? Because delays in implementing policy were endemic in the Congress regime. Even Manmohan Singh was compelled to acknowledge them.
Arnab.
No, 1 second. You were criticized by the Chief of the National Highway Authority of India in December last year of policy paralysis. There are industrial projects worth 15 trillion rupees that were stalled due to problems of clearances. This is the mess that Mr. Surjewala refuses to accept. The country is in a right royal mess.
Well, Arnab, there is a difference.
No, may I, Mr.
There is a
Goswami
difference of hands-on and hands-off approach.
It was Dr. Manmohan Singh when he constituted the special committee and headed it himself on clearing all infrastructure projects, who proceeded to clear as also put them into implementations. Projects worth over 700,000 crores in under a year.
So what did this is this is not falsification of fact. This is falsification of fact. This is a falsification of fact.
7 lakh crores projects are still stuck up. There is, because of some environment clearance, interministerial clearances, this is the issue.
Please do not undermine.
When you look at the road sector, you promised to make 20 kilometers a day, you have landed up into not even 1 or 2 kilometers a day. You're talking about the power sector, Mr. Surjewala, 20,000 megawatts of power generation is lying idle because of your coal scams.
No, I think this is a very serious matter, and Mr. Surjewala, the UPA too was responsible for the policy paralysis that led to several infrastructure delays. You are falsifying fact. Investment of up to 500,000 lakh crore. 500,000 lakh crore was held up due to the delays in granting environmental licenses for projects up to December last year. In April 2013, Mr. Surjewala, and acknowledge it tonight, 566 major infrastructural projects were delayed due to clearances. This is a pressing agenda because of the royal mess that you created.
No, I have no hesitation, Mr. Goswami.
Without doubt.
I have no hesitation today in acknowledging that yes, there were many projects that were delayed, but there was also a systematic atmosphere of mistrust in governmental procedure.
No, that is your problem.
Blocking of parliamentary procedure, and a systematic design put in place to ensure that the confidence of
Mr.
investors
Surjewala.
and the thrust of investment is put under a question and a cloud.
Sir, this is completely wrong.
For that?
This is completely wrong. The problem within your ministry.
Arnab, please ask Mr. Surjewala.
Did not get along with Jayanti Natarajan. Jayanti Natarajan did not get along with Chidambaram. What is this?
Everything that happened, yes, we are. But there is also tremendous good work that we did under Dr. Manmohan Singh's leadership.
Anyway, I'm not getting a...
please start naming them.
I thought I'd get you to acknowledge...
Please start. How much of nuclear power you brought? What did you do with the highway sector? What have you done with the aviation sector? How many kilometers of railways you have added?
Is not a good exercise. It dilutes authority of the Prime Minister.
Alone for the first time since independence, 7 new airports came up.
And
5 new airports were refurbished. You have now a passenger base which is third or fourth in the world.
Well,
this all happened during UPA rule.
Yes, but Mr. Surjewala, I'm not, I'm not trying to say you did everything wrong. I'm sure you did one or two few things right also. Maybe you did lots more wrong. But the point is, our growth rate fell from about 9% to 5%. Our fiscal deficit went out of control due to your absolute profligacy and your national experiment with subsidies. Our unemployment rate increased, it went to unacceptable levels. Your government became, if I may say so with kindness, a government synonymous with price rise and inflation. This is the situation, sir. This is not a situation anyone likes.
2 power centers.
But this is the situation we are in.
May I also add,
the 10-point agenda should have included price rise
also went
and jobs.
Towards the end of UPA 1 and beginning of UPA 2, went through one of the world's biggest economic crises.
So we've been through that. We've been through that.
Affected the country.
We've been through that.
Despite that,
we've been through that. Well, we've been through that. I take your points.
Yes, the
will this 10-point agenda, will this 10-point agenda be actually work? I can assure this government that regardless of how closely the Congress party watches this government, the media and Times Now will closely watch this government for what it actually does. The proof of the pudding, we believe, is in the eating. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for debate number 1 on the Newshour tonight.